today I'm going to talk a lot, and Rupert isn't, because she's been moving house, haven't you, Rupert? Do you want to actually read out your address and full contact details?
Yeah.
Seems totally safe.
I have moved house, so I've not really been...
Playing hired guns?
No, unfortunately not. I haven't been able to set up my Mega 500 with a 512k expansion, unfortunately.
200 quid in 1991. Have you done any gaming at all, actually?
A bit, here and there. Like, when I was in transition, shall we say, between houses, I mostly played, weirdly, Tetris 99.
Oh, okay.
Because I only had like small pockets to play in. I just thought, right, I want to play something really simple, which I'm not gonna have time to get hips deep into, but is fun. Yeah. So getting quite into Tetris, I got pretty good at it, and it is. You can always play Tetris. Like, it's one of those games.
Sorry, I got a cat.
There's a cat down here.
It's stuck.
It's a crazy cat.
Right, enough games.
Dancing.
Yeah, but the thing about Tetris is, I don't know if you noticed, Russo, but it's not columns, which is always a problem for me, because...
I'm surprised there haven't been any kind of... Well, I suppose there are probably unofficial versions of columns, but I'm surprised they haven't kind of like tried to reboot it, because it was meant to be a Tetris killer at the time.
I think they've released a lot of versions on... Weird, I was watching something on YouTube about this. I think it was Slopes Game Room. Maybe. He was talking about... yeah, there's loads of releases of columns, but on like Japanese consoles through the years, sort of thing. But yeah, the thing is with Tetris has evolved where I don't think columns has that much.
Yeah, but the Tetris I was playing really hasn't evolved too much. To be fair.
But with columns, I suppose what got me about it most was I love the music.
The music was
and it was really clever how it you couldn't tell when it looped.
Yeah,
it just kind of diddle din 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 din. And it was quite hypnotic in how it just carried on.
It was really weirdly atmospheric, wasn't it?
It was Clotho.
Yeah.
And there were two others, which I do not know. So yeah, today...
it was almost had like a kind of weird chamber orchestra quality to it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was actually quite rich music.
Yeah.
That really is sort of...
soft.
Yeah. See, this is why, actually... Again, in true State of Play style, it's always to hand. But we able to see a copy of it as well, not on Mega Games 1.
Yeah.
But it was, well, like we bought a bundle of games or something, actually, thanks to Gav Bromwell, and he threw that in for free for us. But it genuinely is one of my favourite games on the Mega Drive, or any system really, because, of course, what it had that Tetris didn't, I love the fact we're just instantly talking about columns, is that it had the two-player mode. And I was thinking recently how it's really tense, and the music that so you're like, boom, it's happening, and then of course it's so hypnotic and the music's so good that when one of you fails, and the little when one of you fails, you just kind of want the other person to see how far they can go, so it turns from like a sort of a versus thing to like a supportive thing. Yeah. Because it is quite cool to see someone like really
quite passive versus, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a way, you're just both playing the game.
Yeah, and it's just like who gets the most points. You don't affect each other's screens. Yeah. In later games you do, but in that one you don't.
It kind of puts grey blocks on there.
Yeah, it like pushes it up, sort of thing, which is fine. But there's something about like just when because you get the same ones, don't you, as well? So it's like total skill. It comes down to that. What a game! What a game! In fact, let's stop this and just play columns for the rest of our lives.
Right, so we better get on with your list, really, hadn't we?
Let's check this recording. Yeah, we're recording. Okay, so I've got a bit of a list because I've actually been playing games, but I haven't been.
Impediment.
So we've got The Church in the Darkness, The Drama Queen Murder, Fobia with an F, Blazing Chrome, Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle, Super Mutant Alien Assault, Snooker Nation Championship 2019, Pawarumi, Etherborn, Archlion Saga, and Streets of Rogue.
I'm guessing you purchased all of these with your own money because it all looks so enticing.
I look at you, Snooker Nation. Yeah, no, these are all sent through a mixture of Games Freezer and Nerdly. So there's reviews online, which I should put links to, really. So what I'll do is I'll just work down the list, and I'll try. I know there's a lot that it's just going to be me talking because you've been lazy, like moving your bins around your shed. So Church of the Darkness, which was released today, actually August the 2nd. It was promised as a kind of... For a start, it was meant to be released in 2017, and I don't know the reasons why behind it, but it was held off for another 2 years. So you would think 2 years of extra kind of time with development would, like, you know. So it's a top-down... You basically play someone who's gone into to sort of ingratiate themselves in a cult to rescue the nephew who's supposedly held captive. You know, that's the whole thing behind it. He's been taken in this cult, and your sister, his mum, has said you've got to go there and get him back, regardless of kind of who, if he wants to or not.
Right.
So you go in there, and the game is you kind of avoid all the cultists, and the people sort of wander around this South American village, top down, and then you kind of, through a series of events, get out of there. But when you watch the trailers, it kind of puts it across as if it's sort of you kind of immerse yourself in the cult, and when you look at the development cycle of it and what the developer Richard Rouse, I think his name is, talks about, it's all this interest in cults and the reason behind why people join them and the mentality of it all. And the two cult leaders are voiced by GLaDOS from Portal, and a real life husband, who's, I do know his name, it's like Richard Patrick Larry, I think. So the voice acting is good, and you hear them over the tannoy in the game, sort of, and their personalities change each playthrough because it's randomised. So they're kind of saying, you know, we're here and we just misunderstood. We just want to sort of lead quiet, peaceful lives. Or then the next playthrough might be they're quite hostile. But when you play the game, what it boils down to is just avoiding vision cones. So you're dropped, and this seems harsh, but
quite an elaborate setup for something very simple.
You may as well just be assaulting a military compound. So you drop there, and of course, this whole thing about the cultists: did they mean well? Are they misunderstood? Whenever they see you, they either raise the alarm or just shoot at you. So they either shoot at you or get someone else to shoot at you. So they're hostile.
Yeah.
And when they capture
it's not
you,
really no ambiguity.
no, when they capture you, they either say, "Oh, we just want to be left alone," and then leave you in a cage for you to escape, and then eventually they shoot you, or they just shoot you straight off. So when I was playing it, and you pick up sort of items, you've got like you can go in, you can go in guns blazing, or you can go in and sort of put alarm clocks on the floor to distract people and stuff.
Can you shoot them?
You can shoot them, but the combat is like really fussy. So it's sort of top down, so it's kind of a twin stick thing. Bullets are really scarce. There's like mainly like a shotgun and a pistol, and it's so sluggish to aim and shoot. And because most people like take 2 or 3 shots, and your health goes down too fast. And when you they eat food in the game, it's so incremental how much health it gives you back. There's almost no point doing it. So
not like in real life.
Yeah, well, you have a cheeseburger, boom, cancer's
chocolate
gone.
digestive. Absolutely fine.
You have a hobnob and your legs grow
anymore.
back. But it was. I wanted it to be a lot more. It seemed to boil down to a very basic premise of just essentially avoiding vision cones. And because it's randomised, you're walking around and it's like you've got to go to these churches to get items that prove the cult is up to no good. But, you know, there's like 8 churches scattered haphazardly around, and then like a lot of the buildings look the same. And when all the other characters, the NPCs, apart from the main two cult leaders, when you put an alarm clock on the floor and then run off, so you can go past that, and they walk over and they're like, huh? What? And you think you're just thick. Everyone just seems like really thick, and there's no immersion at all. I was hoping the game would be more dialogue based, so you'd go in and kind of they try to trick you, and then maybe the sneaking will be done at night as you gather evidence.
Yeah,
but it seems really bland.
Or maybe you at first ingratiate yourself, and then you have to get into certain rooms.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, and that's the sneaky part. But just having it all sneaky, like you say, it could. It could be anything. It could be any kind of hostile enemy, couldn't it? That's disappointing.
So that was a bit disappointing. So moving on to the Drama Queen Murder. This will be a quick one. I don't mind hidden object games. I play them with Faye. Like when I want to just chuck it on, have a glass of wine or something, and just like kind of it's a really gentle, generic story. Just kind of Faye loves hidden object games, and I'll just sit there and point at the screen with a laser pointer. Good idea, by the way.
Nice.
But this one was. It felt like a hidden object game that was released like 10 years ago. It was on the Switch. I played this. The Church in the Darkness was on PS4. So it just felt really like the graphics were like really flat. There was no voice acting, so it was just all text. And of course, playing in handheld mode especially, it's like, and it's like find a paprika. What, like the actual pepper in a jar? What am I looking for?
Is it a person named Paprika?
Yeah, Susan. Find Susan Paprika. It's a woman. And yeah, it was just. I know hidden object games by their very nature are quite basic, but it was really basic. And the controls were like all weird. So say you've got like I haven't got a Switch in here, but you've got the right thumbstick moves the cursor on the screen, right, not the left, and the trigger, like sort of selects.
I just assumed it was touchscreen. Is it? What?
Are you stupid? No, of course. I'm going to touch screen.
So a game where you're meant to find objects on the screen is not touchscreen.
No.
Wow.
But like, especially playing, you need to really play out the TV anyway, so you can see what the hell's going on. But the thing that got me, the thing that was an absolute deal breaker for me was, okay, I'm playing a hidden object game, right? It's called the Drama Queen Murder. It's rated 7, so there's no gore in it or anything. You're just going around. There's like a murder in the background. I'm going around playing a casual game where I'm pick up and you're looking for a knife or a ship's wheel or whatever. When you click on the item and you get it and it like crosses off your list, what sound would you expect to play?
I don't know, like the sound of a tick or something,
like or like or some positive,
some sort of
What about an atonal jab at a violin?
What?
Yeah. So when you click on anything that's good, that's like you're moving your form in the game, it goes. Huh? So
what? Like you've just been seen in Metal Gear Solid?
Yes. Or like someone has jumped out of the bushes in a '70s slasher film, and so you're playing it and you're like it's. And of course, you've got 20 things to tick off a list, and that happens about 20 times throughout the game. So I had to mute it.
Surely it should be quite like a positive, like ting or something like that.
Yeah.
Something,
that was a deal breaker. So moving on from that, this is another quick one. Fobia with an F is mobile port, which I didn't realise. It's also an arts game where you kind of move right. So you're like. She's gone. So you play like a kind of it was weird actually because I watched Don't Look Now for the first time, and you play a girl in like a face hidden red hood, kind of stylistic, thin pointy legs, kind of running along this forest.
You watched Don't Look Now in preparation for this game.
In preparation for Fobia on the Switch.
Have you never seen Don't Look Now before?
No.
Why? What made you watch a horror movie with Donald Sutherland from 1973?
Well. What did it... I think it's because I watched so many bad films on the trot. I thought I want to see something that was just good.
It is good.
I wanted to see it. It's not really horror. It's more of like horror.
It's
like a dark drama.
Yeah, it's a drama about grief. Totally a drama about grief. Which is why... Yeah. I don't think I even liked it the first time I watched it, because I think I was expecting something like The Shining or something like that, where it's like a really creepy ghost story, but actually it's much more about loss and things like that, and a kind of a marriage gradually breaking down. Although the ending is pretty cool. Yeah,
and also they are thin. They're
so
thin people. Yeah.
Especially in that sex scene, it's just like you could see their spine.
It was like watching Species. I'll just be like, okay, here's a sex scene. We're just going to put a load of bones in like see-through bags and rub them together.
Judy Christie, can you just pop your skin on the stool over there?
And have a chip.
I can see through it anyway.
I can see the veins. It looks like a road map if I put a lamp behind you. So Fobia was so it's moving right, and it's so I played it again, sitting down, a bit hungover as always, and I thought I'll just play a casual game. So you're walking right in the game, and sort of going along, and instant death. So, like, something will fall on you, or like some net will catch you, or a wolf will jump out at you, and you've got
Limbo.
Yeah, no way of knowing it until it happens. But sometimes, because the game was a bit glitchy, I would just die. At one point, I just flew up off the screen. And I was like, oh, I'm dead. But and it was a real war of attrition. And I played it for about 20, 30 minutes, and I thought, I can't take this anymore. I can't, because there's a problem with the game with when you jump sometimes, because you're walking through like a forest and you go through like a cave system, if the ground isn't totally even, sometimes you don't jump properly. So like you'll just slip down, as you're slipping, you'll jump, and she'll do this like half jump and fall.
Is it because it's physics based?
Yes. So
so it's almost fussy physics.
Yes,
I found that was a real problem with Limbo. Or I didn't really play inside much.
When you're playing a game where there's like very little interaction apart from like it's basically one button, move and jump, because it's a phone game. When that isn't pristine, it's just a massive issue.
It's got to be that's got to be just right, because that's the only mechanic.
So I think it's only a couple of quid, but I played it for about 20-25 minutes and just lost my temper with it, and I went on YouTube, and I was a minute from the end of the game, which is fine, right? 25 minutes, half hour for like a couple of quid, but the end is just nonsense. It was like presented as an art game, and it was just nothing. It was like a real nothing game.
Those sorts of games.
So not very good. Blazing Chrome is essentially a fan-made version of Contra, which is cool if you love Contra.
That's fine.
I'm not a massive fan of it. I didn't really play it.
No.
I've played it. It's a cool game. I've played it on the SNES Mini.
Yeah, I like it, but it's too hard for me.
It is really hard. But this is very much in that vein, with the caveat that it doesn't really add anything new to the genre. So it's just like, if you love Contra, you'll really like Blazing Chrome's 2-player co-op as well. And you share lives, which is kind of cool. So when it was playing it with Chris, and he was drunk, and he was dying, sucking my lives away, I'm like, Nosferatu! I did glare at him a few times, but it was fun and very arcadey. I think there's like 6 stages in it. So it's a good arcade blast, and it seems that in the options there's a lot of tweaks for speedrunners as well.
Okay.
So if you're that way inclined, cool little arcade.
Yeah, it sounds like quite a serious attempt at making a cool arcade game.
Yeah, it was pretty tasty. It's not really much depth in it, and it was quite nice. So the stages were slightly varied. Like sometimes you'd be on like moving up a train, sometimes you'd be in like a futuristic city. It was quite nice. Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle, which is based on an anime I've never heard of. I've played a lot of JRPGs over the got them for review, and I can't remember the last one I got was called. But I played it for about 10 or 15 hours, and the pacing of the game.
Is it a JRPG? I always imagine it was like a kind of more arcadey than that. I didn't think it would be so full of cutscenes.
It's not a JRPG, and there are a few cutscenes, but it's really pacey.
Right.
And it's nice because the story's like quite, if you know the story for like Attack on Titan, it's essentially set in like an alternate Earth, and there's like a walled-off city. And there's like a last sort of bastion of humanity, and these massive, naked, stupid giants are like trying to assault it, and they just kind of spring around basically like Spider-Man.
Probably can't find trousers that fit. As well.
Have you got any kegs? First line of the game, and so they kind of have these like gas-propelled like grappling hooks to move around, and it's very swingy, and you can attack the giants, and the combat is really fun, and it's really precise and repetitive, but it's so fun it doesn't matter. And what I found was when I was playing the mission, and it was you go around the city and you have to kill like a load of giants or like protect someone or whatever, and just as I was thinking it's been like half an hour, I wouldn't mind a break at this, it'd go to the story, and because the story was quite gripping, then it kind of get me in the mood to get back into the game.
It's just quite a good story as well.
It's not like it's quite involved, but it's a key for like a Japanese game. It's pacey.
Right, okay, that's my biggest concern.
Because when I saw it was like a load of high school kids going to like a military camp, here we go. That other game I played.
Even Persona flashbacks.
Oh, I know. I've tried to finish Persona 4, but I nearly just swallowed my PS Vita in rage. And of course you haven't got any like tedious cave dungeon crawling in this.
Yeah.
It's just, it's either the story, there's a little bit where you're like in camps, you can like level up and stuff, but they have a genuine impact in the game, so it's not like tiny incremental amounts. So I really liked it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and the final battle is the DLC, which is like you play certain chapters of the story from other characters' points of view, and that's cool as well. Sometimes you're like outside the city and you see things from a different perspective. It's just a really good game, and to the point that it got me into watching the anime. I've actually So
is it good?
I say into it. I've started watching the first episode, but I am gonna get into
it. Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, really good game, really good solid game. After that then was Super Mutant Alien Assault, which was a cool little...
That's a generic title.
Yeah, it's one of those... It's a game that if... I got this on Switch, but if it was on Steam, you get it in a bundle, and you play it for 10 minutes, think, oh, that's cool, and never really go back to it.
Yes.
So, yes. So you're in...
or you get it on Steam in a bundle.
And never play it. And then delete it 2 years down the line.
And then see it somewhere else and think, oh, that looks cool, and then realise... Oh,
I've got
it's already in my Steam library.
And then
still not play it.
So really, really briefly, it's just it's 2 aliens on like a ship, like a cargo ship, which is represented in a single screen. You have waves of enemies, and you've got to shoot them off. That's pretty much it.
Fine.
There's like a gun. There's a gun dispenser and like a grenade dispenser, and they're randomized. And as you play and die, because I think you've only got like 1 life when your health bar goes down. Of course, shared and co-op, good. You unlock stuff, and then you get a bit further next time. Cool. I can imagine someone playing it on a commute.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes, boom, 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 boom. But I can't imagine anyone sitting down and like sessioning it. So, cool.
No.
Nice little basic game. Snooker Nation Championship 2019. I do like snooker, and this was... And there's 2 snooker games released, I think in the same month actually. One is licensed, one is unlicensed. This is the unlicensed one. And it was just really good. The physics are really tight. There's a lot of unlockables. There's an online leaderboard, and the physics are so tight on it that it just feels realistic.
Is it top down like Arcade Pool by Team 17, or is it
Steve
behind
Davis,
like Jimmy Whiteswell's snooker?
It's both. You can flick.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You literally I was lit up there. Really? Yeah, you can have it.
It's the best of both worlds.
Behind it, you know, you can get involved right behind the thing, and you've got the usual like ghost lines, so you can see where you're going. You can all the options to hit it wherever you want and whatever, and then you can press triangle and it flips. PS4, I played it on. You press triangle and it flips to the top-down view, so you can have it in whichever one you want. And I flipped it between the two because you want to get it really lined up nicely.
It's a good sign if you're actually using the features that are there. That means that it's been well thought out, well designed, if you like.
And the AI is really good as well, because what I found with previous snooker games is when you play them, it's that you miss a shot and you may as well just turn it off because they're just going to 147 you, or they like miss really obvious shots to give you a chance, and it's really obvious they just miscue and you're like thanks. But with this as well, it's the AI is really balanced, so you're playing it. And at one point, I was playing the computer, and it came down to I was like 7 points ahead, and he was trying to snooker me on the black. And it was really tense. And when he forced the respawn to black and potted it, I was clenching my teeth so hard they were creaking, and I was actually like slightly up off the couch as the ball rolled in. I was like, oh, fuck. So that was really good. And then I played it with my friend Alex, who's a big snooker fan, and it was like a really tense game. So really, and it's only like £7. So
nice.
Really solid. And the other thing is, I did play international snooker on the Vita a few years ago, and that had the most irritating ambient sound. It was constant coughing. Constant clearing throats and coughing by like every 2 or 3 seconds. Oh my god, this doesn't.
Is
do
that meant to like simulate what it's
if,
really like?
Because you do when you watch a snooker, you're like you know one, and it's like a, but it's every few minutes. It was like, Dad, and you're like, shut up! I'm trying to play snooker. So, because there's a few left. Pawarumi.
What you really need is a snooker game set in like the 80s. Where
like a smoky club.
Alex Higgins.
It's drinking.
You're playing Alex Higgins, and you can just see like as you're about to take your shot, just a plume of smoke washes across the table, and then followed by
yeah. Or like when you're like playing against Alex Higgins, you can see him like as you queue up and you like take a shot, you can just see like the silhouette of him slightly out of focus, just like. Yeah, I really went then. I don't think he's Welsh actually.
Alex Higgins, take your skin off, pop it on the stool. It's translucent.
Yeah, it looks like a road map with a lamp behind you. The same joke in every
for very different reasons.
If someone was playing snooker and then you just heard from, if you were like queuing up and you just heard from the gallery, pop your skin on the stool.
What?
So Pawarumi, which was essentially, it's a colour-based kind of cyber Aztec. It's quite
Pawarumi.
Power, as in, I think that's how you say it. P-A-W.
Oh.
A-U-R-M-I.
Like roommate. Like
Pawarumi. No,
yeah.
Pawarumi. That's how. Is that how you would?
Pawarumi. Yeah.
Pawarumi.
So P-A-W-A-R-U-M-I. Yeah.
Pawarumi. It's, you know how what was that game made by Treasure? Icarubia.
Oh yeah.
Was like white and black, and you flip between them.
Was that the game? Is it that
where was hard?
Like the first level, you're like, oh, this looks like a bullet hell shooter.
And
the
really
second level,
boom!
Completely annihilated.
Like things slamming into it, and you're just flipping between the colours. Well, this is kind of an Aztec themed thing, like a futuristic Aztec, which is nice. It's a really nice kind of aesthetic. Vertical shooter, one player, but you've got 3 colours. And it's quite a nice system. So it's typical, you know, you go through mini boss then a boss, loads of difficulty modes and loads of unlockables and stuff. Yeah. But you've got 3 colours like blue, green, and red, and they're 3 slightly different attacks, but they all do different things. So like you see a blue enemy and you hit it, and you hit it with the red missiles. What that will do would like maybe put your health bar up a little bit. But if you want to build up your super, and like a green enemy comes out, if you hit that with a red one, it'll fill up your super bar, and then the other one might give you bonus points. So you're kind of like flitting, depending on where it is you're flitting.
So each of these weapons has a different kind of field of attack.
Yeah, from memory, the blue one, the blue one is like a solid laser.
Yeah.
The green one is kind of like a spiral, and the red one kind of comes out sort of from the sides.
All right, so it's quite tactical in that regard as well. So you're having to choose between the colour or the kind of functionality of it.
Of what the colours do, yeah.
It reminded me of Graceful Explosion Machine, which is...
Your first album.
It's actually my son's name. But yeah, it was one of the... I don't think it was a launch game on Switch, but very early game on Switch. I think it's now on Steam as well. But in that, like, that had 4 weapons, each mapped to a different face button, and each of them was very different in its kind of approach, but they had different cooldowns, so it was really cool the way that you could kind of... You had a kind of... There was a tactical aspect to it, depending on what was around you, but also depending on what was still cooling down, sort of thing. So you had to be quite careful about getting it right.
Yeah,
I do like that sort of thing. It makes it a bit more fun than just literally pixel dodging.
Yes, and the good thing about this is there's a lot of... Because you can kind of... If you get your ass kicked a little bit, you can think, right, I need to focus on getting my shield up now. And then when your shield's up and you think, oh, I've been playing this level for a bit, there's clearly going to be a boss. You're like, right, I'll get my super up.
Yeah.
So, Etherborn, which was played on the PS4, and it's kind of again, it's slightly arty. You literally play someone with translucent skin.
Really? Isn't it Alex Higgins? Julie Christie.
No. I already know this episode's going to be called "You Play Someone with Translucent Skin." Alex Higgins. Okay, so. I swallowed a laugh then. My third album.
You know when you get to the end of a beer?
Yes.
You can edit this out, it's fine. But you know when you get to the end of a beer and it's got slightly warm and a bit flat, and you can't wait to open the next one because you know that that first sip is going to be so much nicer than the previous one?
Yeah.
That's what's happening now.
Oh, I'll keep that in, it's good. The thing is, this is not just like video game reviewing, it's life skills as well.
Life hack.
It reminds me actually.
Life hack: if you have one beer, have another one straight afterwards.
Watching you actually is a nice flashback. It just reminds me of my dad having breakfast. But he was weird because he used to have his breakfasts.
It doesn't look like a bottle of bourbon.
He'd be in the greenhouse, and you could always see him like side on, going. I never know. I assume he was singing.
I think he was shouting at nature for dealing him a bad hand.
Right. So Etherborn, plays someone with translucent skin, who I can only assume is meant to be Donald Sutherland, and it's sort of it's quite nice actually. It's quite a nice mechanic. It's isometric, so you're making your way through these kind of dreamy scapes, and they're all sort of like large cubes and stuff. But gravity plays a big part. So say you fall off an edge and you will fall and be respawned.
What perspective is this?
Isometric.
It's ice. Yeah. Okay.
So, but if the surface is curved, you walk around it and the camera recenters. Okay. So it's kind of a puzzle game where you have to collect essentially these like orbs to light the way forwards. But you have to sort of work your way around a 3D landscape. And it was really good. It was just, it's only about 2 or 3 hours long. The only problem with it was the narrative is really laid on thick. So it's like a woman with a breathy voice saying, "The tree of life is here for you." And I'm like, shut up and let me collect lights. Please. So it's kind of a tree that represents the sort of main hub, and it unlocks and it's just constant, like, just really over-ignoration, and after a while I thought I wouldn't mind if you just be more quiet so I could play the game. But good game, really good game. Good fun. Archlion Saga is the most basic RPG imaginable.
Archlion Saga.
Yeah. And you play someone called, Leon. So it's top-down. If you imagine like a top-down kind of 8-bit Nintendo, right? Okay. So bear with me now. Top-down 8-bit RPG that like you can do in like 90 minutes, 2 hours. No side quests, nothing. If you imagine it as a tutorial to RPGs. So you press...
Quite easy?
Really easy. You're always overpowered.
I was going to compare it to Legend of Zelda just then, but then you said it's very easy, so therefore I can't.
I cannot. So you're playing it, and there's no side quests. When you finish, like, when you go through town, you buy your armor and stuff, you move to and then it just literally transports you to the next town. So there's no random battles, no messing around. It's literally just completely functional. Yeah. And there's a button just literally shows you a line of where you've got to go next, and there's no point exploring because there's nothing to pick up. Okay. It's like a tutorial to RPGs, which seems like a good idea. But
it's an interesting idea, and 35 years too late, arguably, because could have done with that kind of like introduction to RPGs back in the mid-80s, but yeah.
But call me a cynic, and I've looked at Kemco, not Kenco, the company that make it. I've also played their other games, and they are mobile ports with the paywalls removed. So we've had this conversation, I think, in a previous episode. Yeah, and I think it was released. It's on Switch now. I played it on Switch. I think that it's a tutorial, an introduction to their games, so people will play it and be like, "Oh, that's quite simple. I enjoyed that. Played it on my commute. Good laugh. I'll look at the other game. Bang, paywalls everywhere, or like massive difficulty spikes."
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm a little bit cynical about it, and I think it's more of a way to just get people into their more, advanced games, which are massively unfair and have paywalls. So it is a good introduction if you do fancy just playing when you can just, if you like an RPG but can't be bothered to put in 50,000 years in.
I'm not sure about it being an introduction to paying massive amounts of money over time. That's the only thing.
Oh, really?
On mobile, where I don't play games.
Ah, okay. Well, so that leads us on to the final game and game of the week, Streets of Rogue, which is the best game ever released on any system. It's amazing. You haven't played it yet, have you?
No, I plan to.
It's the best.
Once we're done here.
You know when you look at a game and it says, "Oh, it's a mixture of Deus Ex and Grand Theft Auto," and you're like, "Oh, really? With this one-man team, really?" Really,
it is.
It's you sort of it's top down, so the best kind of view. Top down, really kind of dreary kind of visuals, and it's split into. It is procedurally generated, but it uses procedural generation properly, whereas it generally gives it depth and variety.
Right.
So you've got like a cast of characters to choose from, like whether it's a soldier who'll start off with like some grenades and some stuff to blast open doors, and a machine gun, or a hacker who can hack into things. And the missions are kind of randomly.
So they're quite genuinely different, the characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can't. There's only 4 stats in the game, and I think it's melee, firearms. What is it? Melee, firearms, like health and speed.
Yeah.
But you have, on top of that, you have certain abilities that are locked to certain characters. You can create custom characters as well. And they count as unlocks of the levels, because you have to kind of work your way through the different, like you start off in the slums, and then you move to the industrial, and then downtown, then uptown. And, like, it's up to 4-player local co-op as well. And it's everything about it is perfectly balanced. So I played it alone, and I've played it with people, and the way that the death mechanic works is, say you're going along and you get, let me back up a little bit, so you get, like, say you have 3 missions on every level, and you can't go to the exit until the 3 missions are done, and one of the missions is you've got to neutralise someone. The other mission is that you've got to press 3 switches in a certain building. It's all like 1-floor buildings. And the third mission is you've got to release a slave. So you start the game and say one of you is a soldier, the other one is a hacker. You, as a soldier, you can't sneak around anywhere, because all you can do is attack. So you have to speak to the other person and say, right, can you hack that machine to open that door so the slave can just run out, and I'll defend him as he gets out.
Right.
Or you can do a couple of side missions to get your money up, so you can maybe buy something that allows you to teleport through walls, so you can just sneak in yourself. So there's generally, the whole game is kind of 3D in the way it thinks about things.
How do you tell them to do this?
What do you mean tell?
How do you tell the other character?
Oh no, the other person you're playing with. I was talking about.
So it's got to be. So you're talking about what if you're playing solo though? You can only.
Well, you can get followers, so
Yeah.
you can
Right.
you can say go into like a bar in the game, and there'll be like a hacker there, and he'll say, I'll follow you for like $40, and he'll do one action for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, and there's like shops and cloning machines.
Whereas
you can clone someone else.
if you're doing a co-op with someone right there, you can say, right, you have to do this part because otherwise.
Yeah, otherwise I'm going to cause a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just.
Otherwise, I'm really going to cause a hullabaloo.
there's like you get, as the game goes on, the levels. There's like 3 levels in each section. The second level, there'll be more police around. So if they see you doing something, they'll go after you. And on the third level, there's like a random event, as like almost like that acts as a boss. So one of them is like there's rockets falling, or there's a riot going on, or one of them is there's just a Terminator after you, and you have to do the whole thing staying away from a Terminator that fires rockets at you. And because each not only is each playthrough slightly different, like you can lend money from the bank and then not pay it back and get debt collectors after you. Or if you're the hacker, your main mission, your personal mission is to install malware on 5 machines. When you install malware, these robots turn up and hunt you down. So
it sounds ridiculously like...
Amazing.
Amazing. Well, I was going to say, it sounds very ambitious. Like
for one dude?
For one dude. Like, how does he balance all of these different gameplay elements? Because there's so many different things going on.
Yeah, because they're all stripped down to the most basic aspects.
Right.
So it's like everything you do is fun. There's nothing to get bogged down in. If you know what I mean. It's all so snappy to play.
And we will discover the counterpoint to this when I talk about Rage 2. So,
really?
Yeah.
So and also the music in it is amazing as well. It's just like really bouncy, cool music. So Streets of Rage, Streets of Rogue. Oh, that's the only bad thing about it is the title. Because
that was poor. That's always put me off.
And it makes sense because you are like in the streets and it is a rogue generation, but it's just a really bad literal title.
Because you think of Streets of Rage.
Yeah, I think what would happen is because it's been in development for like 5 or 6 years. I can imagine that it was called Streets of Rogue, but it's got, if you go on Steam, it's just got overwhelmingly positive reviews over years, and I can imagine it's stuck. And he's just thought, well, I'm gonna have to call it that now.
Because otherwise people won't recognise it.
Yeah, but if whatever system you've got, I think it's released across everything. Everyone should play Streets of Rogue.
I intend to.
It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, Rage 2.
We already know that Streets of Rogue is the
Game of the Week.
Game of the Week.
Probably Game of the Year. I would be very surprised if in the Christmas special of this, I am not talking about Streets of Rogue being the best Game of the Year. Unless he knocks out a sequel.
I think on my original notes, I wrote down Wolfenstein Youngblood because I did fancy that. But then I found out that it was like...
Online co-op only?
Yeah, and a bit more Destiny-like. So it was a bit of a grind in that way.
Destiny.
So I appealed to me the idea of... Because I don't know if you know the concept behind it, but obviously you've got like the Wolfenstein, the modern Wolfenstein games, and in this...
Jay Blazkowicz or whatever his name is?
Yeah, and this is set like 20, 30 years later in the 80s, and you play his 2 daughters trying to find him.
Good.
So that's, and it's obviously like 80s Berlin, that sort of thing. That's cool.
So David Bowie's kicking.
Yeah, and you're just thinking, well, that's a cool idea, and I like the idea of that. But no, it's like online co-op, and it looked like it was going to be very Destiny-like. So anyway, and I saw on Steam that Rage 2 was like half price, so I thought I'll go for that because it's by Avalanche, the people who did Mad Max.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they've obviously got their own bespoke kind of engine. What's it called? Apex or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, can't be called Apex because that'd be like Apex Legends.
Yeah, but they would have done it before Apex Legends.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, they've got their own... And it is an amazing engine, as we saw in Mad Max.
I did like Mad Max, yeah.
But it's weird how they managed to make a game like 4 years later, which is not as good as Mad Max. Because although it is beautiful, and like it's...
Rage 2?
Yes.
I've only seen the trailer for Rage 2, and it looked like a really zany, funny game.
Loads of like neon, like absolutely crazy, weird, crazy characters.
More Borderlands-y than, yeah.
Well, that is the trailer, but the reality is that it's a very generic, open world, kind of shooter. It's so weirdly unbalanced. It's been a while since I've played a game which has got such high points, but so many low points along the way.
As you're saying this, I've just remembered that I finished the first game and I remember nothing about it, which is odd.
I've never even played the first game because I've heard such mixed things about it.
I can't remember anything about it.
I think it's like, you know, when again, it's been so long since that,
Yeah.
that if I play it now, I'll probably just think this is a bit dated or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I won't even have nostalgia to bring me back to it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's open world, very much the same kind of aesthetic as Mad Max, where you've got like kind of like, you can see really far into the distance, you've got the big spiky mountains, it looks really cool, like amazing graphics, and it's basically the same kind of thing, but with slightly madder characters and more a more populated world.
I thought you were going to say pop culture references then, I was going to be sick.
Yeah, no, not too much of that, thankfully, but there's a lot of driving around. A lot of boring driving around, and it really, I mean...
Well, the driving is in itself isn't fun.
No, because it's a weird one because, like, you know, in Mad Max, you'll be driving along and it's an empty world, but you know if you come into contact with another vehicle or whatever, there's going to be a bit of a fight, or they're going to have a go at you. So you either have to drive away or attack them, or you have to fight for your life. In this, is constantly something going on, and it never really involves you. It's really weird. So you have like these battles going on all over the place, and you just drive past, or like a car, like a load of cars will go past and just ignore you. It's really odd. It's like this. There's a game happening, and you're not involved for a lot of the time.
Right.
That's what the open world feels like. So you kind of do these missions. There's 3 concurrent plot threads which are going on, which are asking you to go and basically fight a load of dudes and take out like kind of bases and headquarters and stuff like that, and go into mines and things. The combat is amazing.
I thought you should go into Martin's then, because you're actually going to Martin.
Going to John Menzies.
to buy fags.
Right. But the combat is amazing, and this is where it makes you realise how badly it went wrong.
Oh, okay.
Because the combat is so good that when you
Is
do
it like gun-based combat?
It's gun-based combat with a few magic skills sort of thing. So you've got like...
Is it vehicular combat as well, or is it?
I haven't even bothered with vehicular combat because there doesn't seem to be any reason for it. So, but the gun combat is great, really punchy, and you can kind of like shoot their armour off, and it even gives you a cool little like red skull when you've killed someone sort of thing, so you know, right, that person's dead, move on to that. It gives it a real snappy kind of feel. And you've got these kind of magical elements so that you can do a kind of like a blast with your hand and throw them off cliffs and stuff. You can do a thing where you jump in the air, double jump and like stomp down on them, these sorts of things. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. However, none of that is unlocked at the start, because you have to go around collecting those skills from these arcs around the world,
right.
Which means you have to go to all the corners all over the place. You don't know where they are. You have to buy the intel to know where they are. It's all these like weird design choices to like block your fun before you can really have fun. It's so odd, and when you do get them, it's like fun when you're in the combat, but there's so much just boring nonsense in between, and it's like, why am I in this open world? Why can't I just have a series of levels? Like if I think of like another ID software game, like Doom 2016.
Please, id Software.
Yes. So, yeah, Doom 2016, where, okay, you have level after level. They're quite open, but they're very well designed so that they
don't feel like arenas, but they secretly are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you basically have to kind of find a key to unlock this bit. It's almost like a little mini Metroidvania inside a level, which is good because they're well designed. But of course, in this, what you get is a series of like quite intricate little bases around the place that you have to take down. Essentially, like in Far Cry 3, whatever they're called. Are they called bases? Headquarters? Camps?
Fort camps,
whatever. And they're fun, but everything in between is utterly tedious. That's the real problem.
What about the humour? Is it at least a funny game? Or is the only humour really in the cutscenes?
Well, it's not. But even then, it's not really, because you're thinking. I saw the trailer and I thought, I want to be just a mad mercenary, just going around shooting everyone up for coin. But no, you're like a future cop, and you're just really boring and stolid.
Who is it? Are there any like tasty voice actors in it?
I don't know. It doesn't sound.
I'm just going to say it, right? Peter Weller.
There's some really good character design on the main kind of like bad guys and stuff. On the main characters are really cool. Like there's one scientist guy who's like seems to be like paralyzed, so he sits on the back of this mutant. It's really grotesque mutant, and it's bizarre. But I don't know. But in between, it's just generic kind of baddies. So who are like obviously shouting stuff at you and saying, "Oh, I'm mad because I'm in the wasteland and I'm slightly mutated."
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? Although you said that, I almost want to play it out of curiosity now.
I think it's worth it if it's on a sale, because it's just the combat's so much good fun. But I think in a way you need to know beforehand how to get the best out of it. Basically, just get all the skills as soon as possible. Get through the plot, because it's probably. I mean, I've been playing about 8 hours, and I'm on to the final section, so it's not a long game, which is a good thing. But just I'm surprised by how much of a step down from Mad Max it is in terms of immersion, in terms of storytelling, in terms of just feeling like it's a justified open world. I feel that if you've got an open world, you have to justify it being open.
Yes,
and not just have it taking ages to get to the next place.
Yes.
There's even a part in it where you basically get handed. I don't know how I unlocked it. I just suddenly unlocked like a little like a gyrocopter type thing, and it just means you just hold down the button, push forward, and you just fly across everything. You don't even have to like.
So negating the whole open world. Anyway.
Yeah, it was almost like they got to a point in development where they thought it's really boring navigating this world. So I'm just gonna let's just give them a play.
The thing is, with stuff like that, with open worlds, and Ubisoft take it one way where you just everywhere you go, there's something to do that's really irritating. But what I like about open world games is, I'm trying to think of an example now. It's like I don't know, like say Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Is like when you see something, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go in there. You know, you want that kind of, you want to drive past like an opening or like a little.
Yeah.
I'll go in there, see what's happening, but it just sounds like there's none of that.
It doesn't. Yeah, because it's not. There's no immersion. You don't feel like you're.
But there's
in
side
a
quests
world.
at least.
Bounties, things like that. But essentially, all you're doing is like you're either gonna follow the plot and just go to the next point, or you're gonna get the bounties off the board and go everywhere and do all the little bases in between. But the thing is also there are certain like regular quests which are just utterly tedious, like taking down these. You get these big sentry things which will just pretty much one hit kill you if they hit you. So you have to have like loads of ammo or a really beefed up car, but I don't want a really beefed up car because then I'm playing Arkham Knight.
And no one wants to play Arkham Knight.
Exactly. So I was like, so basically I just ignored that whole like side
aspect of the game.
Yeah. So there'll probably come a point where I just can't progress because I didn't like a part of the game. It's also a little bit buggy, a little bit glitchy.
Oh, really?
You get this thing called focus because we hold down the shoulder button. I don't think I've ever seen that in a game before, and you can see through walls and see where the enemies are.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Another
But weirdly, sometimes when you hold it down, the enemies will be slightly distant, but they won't be. You'll be able to see them, but they won't be animated because it's probably too far away. So you just see them like sliding along in like a single position. It's really weird. If something I noticed, it's like what?
That's so bad.
It's bizarre. It's like, why give me that option if it's not gonna
Finished.
Yeah,
it's not designed. You said, so I was looking at this because I didn't want to. You said here, Wolfenstein. These are the notes we make because we talk a lot of nonsense. You said games as a service.
Yes.
And I didn't know what you meant by that.
So games as a service, where like basically where they're either free or very bare bones when they initially are released, and then they essentially require either subscription or microtransactions to kind of survive, if you see what I mean.
Right, okay.
And yeah, it's almost like an ongoing thing. It's like get the fan base and have like an ongoing service. Like, for example, Fortnite, because it's free to play. Unlike something like PUBG, it's a free to play game, but of course it makes loads of money because game
people buy different coloured socks. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and is Wolfenstein Youngblood like that, or was that?
It's moving in that direction. It just made me think because obviously with Wolfenstein and the New Colossus, which was New Colossus, I think was the second Wolfenstein game.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Obviously there were single player experiences. That was it. Boom.
They were good single player experiences.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
I thought a little bit overrated. Like pretty
I've
standard though, and there were decent single player experiences. Now clearly, what's happening here is that it's slightly different. I mean, it seems to be it's slightly cheaper, but there is the opportunity for like microtransactions and stuff to come into it. So that's when it starts becoming games as a service. And
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a bit of an alien world to me.
Yeah, it's not something I've ever... Because to me, whenever I'm playing a game and... I don't play any like that. I tend to just like buy games and have them. I've never played a game where it's like, oh, you can buy this if you want, because I always just ignore it.
I think by the very nature of them, the kind of games that games as a service have to be basically online and competitive, because otherwise, how would you be able to show off your cosmetic gear? How would you be able to get one over on other people? How would you be able to do all that stuff? So
good point.
I think that's probably why it is. Like, there's nothing really massively popular out there. When you think about the big ones, like Fortnite or like Battlefield or like Call of Duty, they're all very much competitive
online
focus,
communities,
which is something that we just don't do. So
speak for yourself, bud.
Or I suppose there could be something like an MMO.
Again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Basically, and the fact is that we only really play multiplayer games when we can be in the same room. So that's the.
Well, I've got a 14.4K modem, so it does struggle when I'm playing Destiny 2. I'm just from a different generation. That's what this is. It is weird because the only time I ever seen him playing online games are with my nephew, and it's all very much like when he showed me him like playing every game he's got. He doesn't sit there and play it and I watch. He shows off to me, so it'll be, I've unlocked this. I've got this. Look at the car that I bought. Look at the the clothing I'm wearing, and it's like.
Can I just watch you having fun?
Yeah, can we just but he's obviously much younger than me, so it is leaning that way with online games. But because I was never involved in it, it doesn't appeal to me, and it seems ridiculous. It seems like you've got a game like Fortnite, which is like a fun game, repetitive but fun, well designed, smooth, runs like a dream. But then you're paying to like have a different T-shirt, and it's something I think I don't. I mean.
Yeah, it's almost it's part of the competitive aspect of it, I suppose. Like, I mean, they can say that cosmetics aren't really going to make any difference to the gameplay, but with a game like that, it's not just about the gameplay, is it? It's about the image. It's about standing out, isn't it? Because it's not just about winning, but standing out in the world. So if you're the person who has this particular outfit, it says something about you. It
just seems ridiculous. Like
it's always cosmetic, but it has.
You stand out for the few seconds that someone sees you when you have like a brief gun battle and you're dead, and then because of the size of them, you will never see them again. It just.
But unless you're a streamer or something like that.
Oh right, okay, didn't think of that. Yeah.
Which is what it's appealing to.
Or unless you're an influencer.
Streamer.
You have that weird. And I think this leads us nicely onto your Nintendo's premium pricing.
Oh, that was about Tetris 99, yeah. Going back full circle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I thought this is I've played Tetris. This is Tetris 99.
Yes.
I've played Tetris, and I didn't think you had to pay for anything. You just pay to go online.
Yes, that's true. Yes, Tetris 99 was a freebie. It was like an incentive to join Nintendo Online, which is Nintendo Online. I think is very reasonably priced actually.
Yeah, it's only a few quid, and you get all those awesome.
You can get it for like 15 quid for the year, sort of thing. And you get access to the NES games and presumably SNES games in the future.
And the Japanese version of Excitebike with 2 players, which I wanted for a long time.
It's worth it just for that.
Yeah.
And then Tetris 99, but then they had this weird paid DLC.
Right. This
so
is new to me.
Tetris 99 base version allows you to play online, right? Against other people and get your ass kicked over and over again.
Yes, this is familiar to me.
And then they just did this paid DLC. It's like 8 quid or something, but which is a single player mode. So you've either got marathon or CPU battle, and it's like that's a bit mean spirited, isn't it? Because it's such a basic thing.
Yes.
Why not just have it as an extra incentive for online users? Why? And now they're kind of doing a physical version of it and stuff. It's
just a re-release of Tetris on a modern console.
It really, and it's so bare bones. I mean, it's like got one tune in it, and it was great it's cool as an idea for a battle royale because it is quite fun and you can just have a go and like I say, just get your ass kicked by pro players, T's spinning all over the place. But I just thought when it came to the DLC, because I wanted to play it single player, and there wasn't really another option on Switch, so I
do
paid,
it?
Yeah, so I paid like $7.99.
I laugh. Every time.
I know.
Every time and you're like, oh my cosmetics ridiculous. And then when it comes to Nintendo, it's like, oh, it's unbelievable, it's uncouth, but I've paid for it. Why did Nintendo seduce you so?
Because I want to play Tetris on my Switch, and that's the only option. But that's the way. That's how premium works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's the only option. That's the only place you can play it. That's why you can't play any of their brands or any of their properties elsewhere.
I love how you get seduced by Nintendo.
Yeah.
Well, I would just look at that and think, but if you look at it like this, right? It's a bare bones release of Tetris. It's £8.
True.
How much is the physical version going to be though?
Probably £30 or something.
So that what you said then about it's just one tune, which is just crap. Is it the original? Whatever it is.
Yeah, but kind of mid-90s Eurodance version of it.
Oh crap! Version of it.
Yeah.
If
really tinny hi-hat.
If they'd said Tetris and it was like local 4 players or 8 players or something, which they can clearly do because Virtual Racing was 16, and they said it's up to like 8 players, up to 16 players, local co-op, local play, and it's Tetris, and then there was a couple of different versions of it, and even if they had said there's 100 different chiptunes on there, that would be, because when you play, people who like really get steep into like Tetris and flying back to columns, it's like if they said, oh, there's a version of columns, but there's like loads of different versions of the music, or
like a version of Tetris with Clotho in it.
Don't get me started. Yeah.
But I think there is a second DLC coming out,
Right.
which has 2-player split screen. I'm gonna have to pay for that too. I won't like it, but I'll do it.
Yeah. So you are what they're hoping for.
I think I am. I think I am actually the perfect consumer because I'm someone who doesn't really. I'm not a hardcore gamer in terms of like just playing every night for hours and hours sort of thing. And I can't really be bothered to get hips deep into anything like really deep RPGs. So therefore, I'm really quite suited to their demographic, and I do love the games they make. So,
which is handy because they make the same ones
exactly.
over and over again.
Exactly. So I am their perfect consumer.
Yeah, I love it. And you're wearing a Nintendo T-shirt. How much is that? 200 quid?
I got this from a Nintendo store in New York actually.
Hashtag just saying.
Speaking of games I bought for £8, Doom 3 on Switch because I love that game, so I bought it again.
Yeah, I still the one thing I remember about.
I thought it's quite reasonably priced. Because I know it's like 15 years.
Was there a thing recently with Bethesda where you have to be online to play them though? And if you
the
play
first 2 games, yeah, but not the third one. Not Doom 3. I mean, I love Doom 1 and 2, but would I really play through it again? Whereas Doom 3, I can play that and get immersed.
What's the point in having a handheld console that you have to be online for?
It's ridiculous. And they said, oh, it's a mistake, we'll remove it. So they are going to remove it, but it's like, yes, well...
I don't get what they gain from you having to be online.
Your information, your data.
Ah.
That's it, really. They get you in a Bethesda club. Bethesda Social Club, is that what they call it? I remember coming every time I boot up LA Noire, it would just, oh my god, get off my screen.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.